Well, I'm talking with Minister Thomas today in the Brule Suite. This is because we're covering, of course, the sort of pitch for the MLCs that will come up here very shortly, so I couldn't be with you this morning. But I know you were very excited to have a chat because this is up your street, isn't it? Surveys and getting the government to kind of link up two big things that you've always believed in.
I'm an action politician. This government is an action government, but when you take action, you've got to make sure that you're taking action in the right place. And what we've done with the survey that we're launching today is we're making something that used to happen every decade or so happen every year. So we're asking people what their situation is and what they think about certain things, giving us with information that we couldn't get in other ways, which we'll take into account as we're informing very important policies about how public money is spent on public services.
Now, is this happening every year now?
It is going to happen every year.
It's happened before, hasn't it, once, I think?
It happened last year. So last June we published the 2016 one, and before that it had been 15 years, and now it'll happen every year. Because what we've got inside this document is some of the data that will inform our annual review of the programme for government.
Who gets it? I mean, is it a random selection or is it selected?
No, it's very much random, so we know what the Isle of Man population looks like from the census that people kindly filled in for us last year. And now we've got a local company that's been engaged to sample the Isle of Man population so that we know how people are coping financially and all those sorts of questions.
But it's got to be weighted, right? I mean, essentially it's not just total random. You want so many in certain brackets of population.
We get the results and they've got a contract to actually make sure that it's consistent with the actual demography of the island.
Give us a flavour of the questions you ask.
Well, it's about public perception of the service they're getting from public bodies. It's about how they're coping financially. It's about how much they have confidence in their government and also in their media, coincidentally, because and in their judges and in their politicians and in their doctors and teachers. It's also about things like employment and income, mental health, all sorts of issues.
Should people be worried that it's a bit of a snooping sort of item? I mean, will they be identified? I suppose.
No, it's entirely anonymous. Right. Obviously, the firm that they're talking to will know who they are, but they provide it to us to analyse and to.
But there's an arm's length between that company and you.
Very much.
So if they say they earn X amount of money, it's not going to get back to the tax
return. We have alongside this, we have an earnings survey and we have an income survey and an expenditure survey. Again, that's anonymous, but we do that from our own data. This is actually a survey of attitudes and opinions, and it would be very helpful for us to form public policy.
As I said at the beginning, this is right up your street. So what happened to the last one? I mean, did it make a big change to your views on how your job should be done?
I think so. I think it even affected the general election because in 2013 we'd learned that a significant part of the Manx society didn't seem to feel they had enough to live on, and they probably don't have enough to live on, and this provided further evidence for that. And I think the new government has got new policies aimed towards helping people who are just getting by, who are struggling along. And in terms of trust in government, I think government now understands that they've got to engage with the media and the general public beyond that to actually explain the issues, not cover them up, not in any way hide from the fact that we've got challenges, and actually present policies in an intelligent way, because the Manx public is sensible and they know what's right. And I'm hoping that in 5 years' time people will look back and say this government started off explaining where we were, explaining what it was going to do about it, and this sort of survey gives us evidence to say whether we're getting the benefit of an increased public trust and confidence in us because we're addressing the right issues in the right way.
People have a habit, though. I mean, I've done surveys myself where you kind of get quite negative after a while. It's easier to go, no, they're doing a terrible job, isn't it? That sometimes can defeat what you're trying to get. It's not a one-to-one interview, is it? It's just simply a tick sheet. So.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. There's various ways of doing it and so on. Mm-hmm.
Right, what we've got you with you. A single legal entity subcommittee. And that's, again, something that you've been going on about for some time. Is this a silos? This is getting everyone from the different parts of government together? Is that
I'm not sure the public would associate with me with going on about this for some time. I think it was Chris Robertshaw's big idea in the election.
But I think you've always been keen to bring it together, haven't you?
Who couldn't be keen as a politician to actually make sure that public money was being spent in an efficient and an effective way? And ultimately, this isn't a consultation. We're not asking the public how we go about doing our job better. That's for us to know. But what we're doing is we're taking the view that journalists in the Isle of Man are pretty interested in the way we go about our business. So the best thing to do is to share with you the options and the thinking that we have on the table for our colleagues in the civil service and in Tynwald, so that you don't have to go around getting getting somebody to leak it to you or something like that. You've actually got the raw document that we're doing an internal consultation on. Huh? So we don't consult on everything. What we do now is we make changes and we take action, and we just wanted you to know that we are considering options. So, for instance, Isle of Man, what is a single legal entity? We've tried to define it in various different ways. The most important thing is probably the title, which is something to do with the evolution of the Isle of Man government, and it's about an incremental approach which is being put up for question. No decisions have been made. The Council of Ministers hasn't even considered the options this subcommittee has identified as yet, but they are quite profound and they will have an important impact on the way that we provide public services. And if people are interested, we'd welcome their views, but we're not going to take it as a formal consultation. We're not going to have a consultation response document or anything like that.
It's open government, basically. And by the way, us being here today, we haven't yet recorded it, but to have the 3 potential MLCs and the cameras in, this is, I didn't think it was going to happen personally, but it is happening. What do you think to this? Because I know you've been always a challenger.
I have, and I think there are two areas in which you can take some personal credit. The first one is opening up the process that we go through. So you've taken the time to film me. I think it's probably more or less a year and a half ago, and we're making good progress. The Speaker who made this decision after consulting with members should be congratulated on inviting and allowing you to come into this issue.
And the public, of course, get to see the process.
See the candidates. Yeah. And the second point is, the vote this time is public, and so each member has. This has been included in the most decisions that members make. We're always public. Whenever we vote on a policy decision or a budget decision, that was always public. It was me who moved the motion to make the Chief Minister votes public, and now we're making the Legislative Council votes public. So we're at least halfway to an elected second chamber, if that's what go forward.
People interested somewhere you can find it on the Twitter/Periscope, and put it onto the YouTube channel as well, so you can sit in here if you want to watch the whole of the proceedings here with the potential MLCs here on MTTV.